Hey, Pastor Seth, it's another episode of Pastor to Pastor.
Let's go, baby.
Hey, if you don't know, I'm Pastor Jason Watson, and with me, as always, my co-partner in life.
That's right.
in spreading the gospel and doing the Pastor to Pastor, Pastor Seth Odom from Reliant Church.
That's right. I was going to call you Judas for your post this week.
Look,
but,
man.
I don't know if I'm going to.
Don't be upset with me because I'm ministering to your people, all right? That was
love it, bro.
Actually quite comical seeing all the different posts. If you don't know, we're obviously great friends, and so we posted on Facebook. I took a picture. We were at the ball field, and I come across some of your church members.
Right.
And it's kind of has always been this joke between us about talking to each other's members.
Uh-huh.
So I took a picture with them, and I sent it to Pastor Seth, and I'm like, hey, man, I just want to let you know I met these awesome people out at the ball field. And I was telling them about Crosspoint. And then we were laughing and joking, and I said, man, I just really want to post that on Facebook. He's like, go ahead. We'll do a little Facebook war.
That's right. Don't worry, I'm coming for yours.
Oh, I'm sure. There's going to be
buddy.
some posts. I know.
Good thing the people you took photos with are loyal. You know what I'm saying?
They're loyal
They're
people.
faithful and loyal, okay?
Yeah, got you. And now it's been funny to see all the different comments and likes and things. And, anyway, people are always interesting. That's right. That's all I'll say.
Waiting to see what's next. I love it.
Right, waiting to see.
Never let them know what you're going to do.
Maybe I should just get a picture of you before we leave and tell them that I won somebody else to Jesus.
Okay, yeah. Add me to your report.
Yeah,
okay?
go ahead. There you go. I'll turn it into the conference.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, man. So how things been over at Reliant Church?
Everything's great, bro. If you don't know, we are looking forward in the next future to purchase a building. We got the offer in, and by the time this gets recorded and posted, hopefully we're on the way to get in that thing. So we're excited. We've been praying for this about 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So we're super excited for you guys, and certainly help and pray that God's will be done and to get you in the right place. Like you would say, not just a good fit, but a God fit.
Yeah, that's right.
Put you right where He needs you, right where He wants you, and so you guys can keep growing and keep spreading the gospel.
That's right. Hey, what's up, family? It's Pastor Seth and Pastor Jason with Pastor to Pastor.
We have an amazing opportunity for you to help us spread the gospel all over the world.
That's right. We have partnered with a company called Kingdom and Will.
And we're going to put a description where you can go purchase some fresh threads in the description or in the comments, and you can take that link, purchase from it, and all the proceeds go toward us spreading the gospel in our missions trip with True Christ Life.
Yep. If you need some new gear, click the link and help us get the gospel out to everybody who needs to hear it.
We greatly appreciate it. God bless you.
That's right. And I know your church is happy to have you back.
Man, look, they're happy to have me back, and my voice is still, you can still kind of hear. Man, Sunday I preached. And so if you don't know, I went to Peru, went on a missions trip. And that's actually what our conversation is about today is missions.
That's right.
Because it's so big. It's a huge part of your walk in faith. And it has tremendously helped us grow in our faith in many different ways. But we'll get to that. But we're going to be talking about missions today. But just got back from Peru. First time in Peru, first time in South America, period. Typically, we go to India. We've been to India like 6 times now, 7 times, I guess you're going this fall.
That's right.
So we've been on several mission trips, not our first mission trip, but it was my first one to South America, and so it was absolutely amazing. I'll talk a little bit about it, but glad to be back, man. Glad to be, glad to be able to preach this past Sunday, to be back in the house, to be able to preach. God moved mightily. My voice is still quite not right.
You preach real good,
man. That Pentecostal crew, right?
You know you ain't got to scream at them for them to hear you.
Well, my mic wasn't working, so I've given them all I got.
Got that Pentecostal shucking of the corn, the jelly in my donut.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
shucking corn.
I love it, man.
But yeah, so my voice is still trying to recover a little bit. But man, awesome service this past Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, just got back from Peru. An amazing trip. We were on a barge in the middle of the Amazon River. We were on there for 5 days. They did a total, like a 14-day trip. And so we gathered with them. We landed in Lima, Peru, which is, I think, it's the capital. It's a coastal city. We landed there. And then we traveled from Lima to Iquitos, which is
look at you.
where they call the gateway to the Amazon.
Iquitos.
We got on the boat. We traveled downriver for 5 days, and we landed in a place called Pucallpa. Because what they do on this trip is they go from, you get on the boat and they go to the furthest point. The whole time you're traveling downriver, you're doing training, you're having worship services, you're having preaching services. So you're having these different, they're preparing you to be ready for when your feet touch the ground. And so we traveled those those 5 days on the water, 4.5, 5 days on the water, and then we landed in Pucallpa one Sunday morning, and week before last, and then we went out ministering for 2 days. We had a huge crusade that Tuesday night, or that Monday night, and then they got back on the boat, and because on the way back they'll stop after stop and spread the gospel at different cities, different places until they get back home. But we couldn't stay the whole time, so we got off in Pucallpa. We ministered for those 2 days. When they left to go on the boat, we got to a hotel room. We got into a plane. We went back to Lima, and then we flew back home. So it was an absolutely amazing time, though, man.
Yeah, but I heard that
here we go.
You was sweating all day long. There's two things that I heard that I think are hilarious.
I like it's funny that you heard these things.
Yeah, I heard them from your partner you went with, okay?
Go ahead.
I heard that when you got out of the bed, it was like Jason was still laying there from all the sweat. You had a sweat imprint.
Bro, listen, the Amazon is hot. That's all I can say.
Hey, look, he said he lost 20 pounds in 10 days.
Man, hey, the new diet. What is
I
that?
know, right?
The Amazon.
I know. I was trying to do the math. You know, if Jason goes for 60 days, that's 120 pounds. He'll
hey,
lose.
I'll be trim and I'll be fit, man.
I hear you, man. Look, I'm glad you guys had a fantastic time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, man. It was an amazing time. It was physically the most taxing trip I've ever taken. Just simply trying to get adjusted. I mean, because you're moving. I mean, you get there, you get in on a boat, and then you're eating, their food, you're drinking the water.
Yeah.
It's filtered water, but it's still, the traveling, that all the things that come with the traveling. I won't get into the specifics because it can be rough.
Your body was adjusting.
Your body got to do some adjusting, and so it took us a few days to get adjusted. And but yeah, the heat was pretty crazy. On one day with the heat index, the hottest day we were there with heat index, it was 113. So we sweat the whole time. You go to bed sweating, and I literally had to sleep with a towel between my legs to keep my legs from sweating together.
Too much.
I'm telling you, man, it's hot. And then about 2, 3 in the morning, it starts, getting cool, and you're like, all right, this is nice, before the sun to come back up to heat it up again. So it's a great time.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you don't know this, Pastor Jay and I, we've been a part of mission work for the past 10 years or so with India. Then we had some delays because of COVID and stuff. But the year me and Taylor got married, I don't know if you know this, we went to Nicaragua. I don't know if you remember that. You didn't go, but I went with Philip and so
I remember that now.
Yeah, today we want to kind of just talk about what it looks like to be missional, what it looks like to be, why missions are important. And we want to share a little bit of experience from India. And, you've heard it from time to time if you've been following us of what God's done in India and how it's really changed our life. Why don't you talk a little bit, really how the call to missions really came about?
Yeah, I was pretty, I would say, young in the faith, because I was raised in church my whole life, all the way until I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Then I went away, man, and came back when I was about 30. And so I would consider myself still pretty young in the faith, but I just found myself one day just worshiping in the house, and the presence of God was just so strong. And I remember just crying out, and I was like, God, whatever it is that you want me to do, like whatever that looks like, just open the door and make it plain. That's and right. Any doors that I shouldn't walk through, just close them. Lord, I'm yours. Just show me what you want. And I was singing with Carrie Underwood, "How Great Thou Art."
Oh my Lord, come on!
We were getting it done in the house, man.
You hit every note.
I was backing her up. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking
man,
about.
the dogs were slain in the spirit.
Yeah, boy.
I had 2 pugs. I was just worshiping, man, and I'm at plain as day, just telling the Lord whatever it is He wanted. I was His.
Yeah.
And I got done worshiping, and this is no lie, man. I sat down behind the computer, and Brother Prakash pops up.
Kalapala.
Yeah, it pops up, man. Like literally within 5 minutes of me finishing my worship, I sit down, Messenger.
Hello, brother.
He says, "Hey, brother, I feel led of the Spirit. You're supposed to come to India." And I was like, yeah, okay. Well, all right. Well, Lord, if it's your will, let it be done. And I remember reaching out to you and our other brother, Chris.
Yeah, I remember you reaching out because I said, maybe I got to hear from the Lord on that one.
Yeah, go pray. Once you go pray for a little while, right? So me, you, and Chris Dillard, we all kind of got together and we started collaborating and talking and praying, and everybody felt definitely to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Man, and look, I remember, and I've shared this story a few times just this past few weeks recently, of us raising over $8,000 in 2 months.
Yeah.
Us going out to lunch together and people just walking up and giving us checks.
That's right.
Like literally I'm telling you, if God gives you the vision, he will give you the provision to go with it.
Amen.
And that sounds cliche and a churchy thing to say, but it's so true. It's everything that I've ever experienced has been when God's called me to do something, he's provided for it to happen.
Yeah.
I was just submitted. I was like, Lord, if that's your will, let it be.
That's right.
And literally, we raised our money in no time.
Yeah, because we know this to be true about God, is that your step of faith is no greater. It's never greater than his step of provision for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what we experienced. I mean, literally, we would be eating. I'm not exaggerating. People would come up and say, hey, I hear you're going to India. Here's a check for $200. Here's a check for $500. Like, people would just give us money to go. So
that's right.
That's how the missions ministry for us started. It's called True Christ Life. And if you're not familiar with it, you can find it on social media. Right now, the Indian flag's, I think, on the Facebook as our cover photo. But it's called True Christ Life. And yeah, we've been doing India for many, many years, and we just expanded into Peru, and we're going to all nations.
Yeah, that's right.
To preach the gospel. And teach.
I'm excited to be taking a team in September that's never been, and it's going to be a beautiful experience, which is what we're talking about today is actually some of the training that we're going to go through with them too, to talk about the why we do it, the how we do it, what not to do, what to do, and how to keep your heart pure, and the reason why you're there and stuff. And so why do we think that mission is important? Let's hit those couple of things.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think one first is that Christ gave us the Great Commission, and I think there may be this misleading thing where we feel like the Great Commission was just for leaders and apostles and disciples, but really it is for all followers of Christ. Go and make disciples, and it's go not just go to where you're familiar with, but sometimes God calls you to places like India and to Peru and to Nicaragua and to Africa and all these different places. You just got to have a heart and the faith to step into where God, that's why he said, send me and I'll go.
Right.
And, if we can have that heart, the Great Commission is not just places we're comfortable with, but the Great Commission is, you never know who needs to hear the voice that's speaking through you. Nobody, your story and your life. And also, Pastor Jason, we can testify to this, that it enhances your faith.
Absolutely.
Missional work enhances your faith, and we've experienced many things. We had this joke for a bit that we go to India, every time we come back, we had a new gift.
Yeah.
Like God showed himself in a brand new way. Like our first time going to India, we experienced the gift of healing. Pastor Jason, the gift of tongues flowed through him. We've seen miracles. We've seen salvations, deliverances. It's just amazing what you can experience when you just step out in faith and say, God, use me at whatever capacity you've called me to in this season and what this place that you've told me to go to. It really enhances your faith greater than anything that just a church pew will do.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, for me, it's what I think really solidified my faith.
Yeah.
And that sounds crazy, but man, when I was first coming back to the Lord, I mean, I felt, don't get me wrong, the greatest gift we'll ever receive is not a healing, it's a salvation.
That's right.
That is the absolute greatest miracle you will ever receive. But when you go to these other countries, and when you go to these different places, and we'll talk, it's not just other places, but I think for me, when we went to the other places, it took us out of our comfort zone. And we focused on ministry the whole time. There wasn't, now we're pastors, we're full-time pastors, so we understand all the inner workings and business side of running an organization of people. Because I'll say this, and just kind of a sidebar, like, okay, great, you love a home church. That's awesome. That's amazing. But at some point, if your home church is blessed and favored and you guys are growing and reaching more people, you're going to run out of room.
That's right.
And then when you run out of room in your home, you're either going to go house to house, or you're going to get a building where you guys can actually all fit. So that's where the concept of church actually comes from. The church building comes from. But along with people comes assets and comes bills and comes these different things you end up having to manage. So in some capacity, it's not a business, but there are some business aspects that come along with ministering to people. But anyway, we experienced this in the New Testament with Paul and them feeding widows and people selling things and bringing things in. So yes, that is absolutely part of the structure of ministry and the structure of church. But we would go to these different places, and you're not worried about anything. You're not worried about paying bills. You're not worried about reports at a conference. You're not worried about, your main focus is Jesus and telling people about Jesus.
That's right.
And bro, that gets me excited. I feel a little fire starting to kindle.
Well,
but your focus, man, your focus is telling people about Jesus, and literally, like, you're talking to people that you could be talking to here in the States the exact same way. There's
Yeah.
no, just because their language changes and the culture may change doesn't change the gospel that you're preaching. It
Yeah.
it doesn't change what you're sharing, the words you're sharing. You're sharing Jesus with them.
Yeah.
And so your focus is on them. And so we're operating in ministry, and as you're operating in ministry, we would walk a village and you turn around, there's like 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah.
You keep walking, you turn around, there's 20 kids.
Yeah.
You keep walking, you turn around, there's 50 kids. I just keep
Then the whole
multiplying.
village just following you
Right,
around,
yeah.
watching you pray, because I'm telling you, they're astonished by seeing the hands and feet of Jesus in the flesh, like just watching Jesus minister to those who they've seen have problems their whole life,
Right.
Cancer and struggles and things,
Back problems and neck problems and knee problems, and can't get out of bed, hadn't got out of bed in the last few years, or haven't had a baby. They've been trying for 2 and 3 years, and then
come back the next year and hold that baby.
Yeah, that's it, man.
You know, I remember, Pastor Jason, when you're talking about like when you go on these mission trips, or even, you know, we're talking about other places, and a little bit we're talking about what it looks like here where you're at. But you know, I remember always thinking in my mind, like, I'm not going to waste the time that I'm here.
Right.
Like, it's limited. You know, you're going there for just a limited amount of time. I'm not going to waste my time like I do here scrolling on social media, like, and just trying to keep up with the Joneses online. Like, I'm going to spend and dedicate this time for what I'm here, because I'm on the mission field. I'm on a mission. I've been deployed and employed to do the work of the kingdom here. Yeah. And when your mind gets so focused, man, the faith that you start to build up is the place where miracles start happening, and people become to know the knowledge and the trueness of who Christ is, man. It's a beautiful thing. Yep. It's a beautiful thing to see.
And that's when that's what I was talking about. That's when you start seeing those gifts. That's when you start seeing signs, wonders, and miracles, because they're following you as you are spreading the gospel, because you're so focused in what you're doing.
The Lord is not competing with anything.
Exactly. In your life. Yeah.
He's not competing.
He's just flowing through you. But that's what I was saying. What solidified our, in many ways, my faith is just we would live out what we read in the book of Acts.
Yeah, it was beautiful, bro.
I mean, they would literally come out in the street just for us to pray for them. Yeah, and we would see signs and miracles, and we would see people healed who were supposed to have surgery, and we get back and they say, I went to the doctor and I didn't have to have surgery.
Yeah, that's right. So cancer's gone.
Yeah, I mean, healing after healing, and God move after God moving, people delivered, demons cast out of people. I mean, everything you read in the book of Acts happening, and it's not that it can't happen here. It's just that in our mind, for some reason, we separate. Like if we would wake up every day saying the same thing, that I don't have time, saying that I don't have time to scroll through Facebook, I don't have time to. If we would wake up every single day and treat where our feet are as a mission field, signs, wonders, and miracles would follow. And man, the church, the kingdom, and I say the church as a whole, but the kingdom, man, would explode, and revival would happen. You would see, you get 10 people on fire for Jesus. Yeah. And sold out and go out into the street and see what happens.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing, too, is, Pastor Jay, is the lengths that they would travel to come and experience the power. See, in India, I know we're just talking about India right now, but their culture, and they have millions of gods, and they the first lady we prayed for says, I've tried all these gods, I'm going to try Jesus.
That's right.
And Jesus healed her just like that. Yeah. She went and told, from a congregation of 40 became like 250, like in a matter of minutes, because she went and shared what Christ had done.
That first night we got to, I remember the very first time we had a service, it was in a T intersection on a dirt road. Yep. And they had a tiny building that held maybe 15 people, but there were so many people, we had to have it in the street. So that's why we had it on the road. There was a big old open field to our back. We were standing on rocks in the middle of the intersection. There was dirt all around.
Toes throwing up gang signs, cramping up.
I was cramping so bad. And they laid a tarp out for us to stand, and people just sat all down the roadway. And you could tell there were people in shadows, like listening to the message, even beyond where we were sitting at. And I remember learning, man, they can do things with a snare drum, man, that we can't do here. I know, right? With their little fingers, man, they be worshiping. It's an amazing time. But I remember that first lady who came up for prayer, man, and praying for her. I think she had a neck problem, and she had it for a long time, and then right after her was a lady with a headache who had had a headache for like over a year because of a neck problem. And these two women are healed. And every time we would close our eyes to pray for someone, first time I'd ever experienced the gifts of healings operating in that capacity, but we would pray for them, they would be healed, and they would run into the village and tell people, And every time we would close our eyes and open our eyes praying for people, there'd be more people.
Yep.
It's like they just kept
beautiful,
multiplying and kept multiplying. And so what turned into would normally be like a couple hour service turned into a long service.
We was tired, boss.
Man, my feet, were throwing up gang signs on them rocks. They was cramping up, and man.
We felt like that fan in your room that when it turned off.
I was tired, boss.
Tired, boss. But you know what, Pastor Jay? Let's talk really quickly about some misconceptions on the mission work and mission field and things. And I think one big one is that mission work is always overseas.
Absolutely. No, there are missions in the United States that you can go be a part of, and you can find these people. Maybe if you're in a denomination that has. If you're in a denomination, there's probably a missions organization within your denomination.
But I know quite a bit of people go down to Atlanta and to New Orleans and these places where people's homes and different things. I mean, there's so many opportunities.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities. We were kind of I don't know what the word is. We were pretty rare. I mean, it was only God-driven that we started True Christ Life.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were connected with the right people to go overseas, because I've heard some horror stories of people getting connected with the wrong people, and they end up in some pretty shady scenarios. Now, I thought initially that I'll be honest with you, I remember getting off the airplane, getting off the airplane and getting onto the into the car, and then us stopping for fruit at 3:30 in the morning on the side of the road, and it dark. And I told
Seth,
they
open in the trunk. Like,
I said, Seth, I hope you can run, buddy.
Trust me, I'll run faster than you, big boy.
Okay, I might get a few of them in the headlock, but you're gonna get to go get us some help. And but no, just tease him. But no, we were pretty concerned. I mean, just because it was a new environment, new place. I was a police officer, so of course I'm on alert all the time anyway. But yeah, I would say what we did was very rare for us to be able to connect with the right people at the right time. It was definitely a divine appointment.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like that. You definitely need to be, I think, seeking God and asking Him, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to serve? But there are the local missions within the U.S. There's missions probably within your city.
Yep.
There's missions overseas. But I think probably the most important thing is that realizing your mission field is right where your feet are in the moment. Now, it's amazing to be able to go overseas and see other cultures, and it's amazing to wake up and not think about anything but telling people about Jesus. But truth of the matter is, man, you can do this anywhere.
Yeah, and you look at being missional. Missional means to be going.
Right.
And we are to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. We're starting a new series called In the Flesh on how we can be Jesus here on earth in the flesh, and be in the hands and feet of Jesus, serving people. The mission field is wherever your feet tread. You nailed it. It's wherever you go. I'm on the ball field, in the office, at recreational sport, all types of places, in the classroom, wherever. When your mind is missional, you look at every opportunity as an opportunity to share the gospel with someone. I mean, realistically, Pastor Jay, if we took a poll of how much time we spend at the ball field, we spend at work, all these different places that we spend, and we think, well, I don't have time. You said at the very beginning, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to go here and go share the gospel. Well, here's the beautiful thing is God's not asking you to change your schedule or add anything to your already full calendar. All He's asking you to do is be intentional with the time you have.
Right.
If you're in the classroom, if you're already on the ball field, look for opportunities that God has already created without adding anything else to it for you to share the gospel. That's what it is. Being missional is going where you go and sharing the gospel.
Absolutely. Just earlier today, as an example, I went to go, today's Wednesday. I'm typically off on Wednesdays. So I went with the boys to go have a brunch, right? Caleb's out of school. And so it was just a great opportunity for us to go eat and hang out together. And so I reached across the counter, and I was talking with this lady. I said, hey, how are you doing today? She says, I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. I said, well, what can I pray for you? Well, how can I pray for you? And she was like, you can just tell me she's trying to think, like, I don't know. What could he pray for me for, you know? And then she says, I don't know of anything in particular. I said, great. Well, let me hold your hand. I said, by the way, I'm Pastor Jason. I'm, pastor over at Cross
Not a
Point.
creep.
I'm not a creepy guy, right? I said, I just simply want to pray for you. May I hold your hand and pray for you? She said, absolutely. Put her hand in my hand. We just prayed. My kids were sitting there beside me watching, right? And this is the most important thing is that our kids are going to emulate what they see.
That's right.
And so what are you emulating to your children? Anyway, sidebar. But I prayed for the lady. We had a great conversation afterward. And then we walk out, and it was a great conversation with my kids afterward. Like, hey, do you think you could do this? Oh, no, I couldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, you could. It's just a matter of realizing, man, we have a cure inside of us, a cure for sin, a cure for eternal death, and a cure for hell. And so, look, if they reject you, understand this. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting Jesus.
Yeah.
They have to decide what they want to do with Jesus in their life. But we do have a commission, and it's not just upon pastors. It's upon all of us.
That's right.
That we go everywhere, and that we just spread the gospel and good news.
Yep. Well, you know, Pastor Day, when you think about meals, we eat, 21 on average a week?
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of us a lot more.
Yeah, I snack a lot, you know. But let's just look at it in this perspective. You know, some people think of this conversation as very overwhelming and hard to do. But realistically, it's just, like I said, being intentional. Just imagine if you took 1 to 3 of those 21 meals and just intentionally spend it with somebody who needed to know about Jesus.
Right. And take a church of 100 people.
Yeah.
And then 1 to 3 meals a week.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine the influx of people coming to Christ weekly?
That's it.
To know who he is? I mean, that's what we're here for.
That's it.
We're not here to fill our calendar with pleasantries. You know, our goal is to share the gospel. Go and make disciples. Go share the good news of Jesus. I don't know, but it's good enough for me to want to share.
Absolutely.
God's been good enough to me that I want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so when we think about mission, we have to change the way we view our missions as being, it's an everyday life opportunity. It's not about raising money and having to go overseas, and there's places for that. But there's opportunities each and every day. Just open up your eyes and be very intentional with your time.
Yeah. And I think by doing that, you're going to see God move in ways you've never seen him move before.
Amen. Yeah, amen.
That's definitely what we experienced.
Yep.
We saw God move in ways we never experienced him before, but we were doing something we'd never done before.
Yep. Stepping out on faith, bro. I'm telling you.
That's it. It's not my gospel. It's his.
Yep.
And I'm just sharing it with him.
Yep. That's why Peter did the supernaturals, because he stepped out from where he was comfortable, stepped out in faith, and was the only one other than Jesus to ever walk on water.
Yeah.
What is God trying to get you to step out in faith and do for the kingdom?
That's it.
So that you can be the difference in people's lives.
Yeah. And maybe you don't go into a restaurant, stand on a table and preach, but maybe it's a conversation with a waitress.
Yep.
Hey, how can I pray for you today?
Hey, you're going to talk to people anyway. Why don't you just change the content?
That's it. Come on, somebody.
I mean, it's simple.
That's it. It's not a hard thing.
That's right. So I want to encourage you to live missionally. Be going. Be the hands and the feet of Jesus. It's a lot easier than you think. Don't be intimidated. It's a simply conversation. Hey, do you know Christ? Can I pray for you? Just as simple as a prayer. Yeah. It's planting a seed that you may not, somebody may come and water that thing.
That's right.
Somebody may come and harvest that thing, but there's nothing to harvest if we don't ever plant seeds.
That's it. And I can't tell you, man, in Peru, and what's interesting, and as we get ready to close here, what's interesting is the soil, and I talk about people's hearts being the soil, is different where you go.
Yeah.
And in Peru, where we went in Peru, not all of Peru is like this, I was told by several people, but in Pacapa, where we were in Peru, they've had a lot of culturally difficult things, and they were about 50-50. Half of them would tell you, no, I'm good, have a good time. Look, wouldn't even let you pray for him. And the other half were like, sure. I can't tell you how many people were won, the ones who said sure, how many people were won to Jesus.
Yeah. Just
by having a conversation with them and asking them, how can we pray for you?
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, I've done it in India, I've done it in Peru, I've done it in America, I've done it online in several places, but the people's hearts around where we are in America are looking for something. I have yet to have, I've probably out of 100 people maybe had 4 or 5 just tell me no, you can't pray for me.
That's right.
What kind of return rate is that?
Yeah.
Where out of 100 people, 4 or 5 tell you no.
Yeah, I'll make that investment.
Absolutely. and you figure out of the 100 people, 95 you're planting seeds in or you're watering at some point.
Man, come on, what a perspective.
Yeah, what's going to happen, as people water, as more people plant, what's going to happen as the kingdom fruit starts growing?
Yeah.
You got to quit looking for everything we got to quit looking for big bangs to happen and look for the small miracles.
That's right.
The small opportunities to plant miracles where miracles end up happening.
That's right, because we don't believe in the big bang.
That's right. We don't believe in big bang.
Listen, I want to say this. I'm so proud of you, and I know your Hispanic friends will be super proud of you of pronouncing these names of these cities.
Bro, listen to me when I tell you this. I still don't know more than Spanish than I knew when I went. Man, I tell you what though, I've got more Spanish friends on Facebook now though.
Look at you, man. Look at you.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Hey, travel the world, make friends, share the gospel.
Hey, there you go, network, baby.
That's right. Listen, are you good, Pastor?
I'm good, sir.
All right, I'm gonna bless you, and then we'll get you out of here. This is out of Numbers chapter 6. It says, "May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you peace." Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. Share with somebody, and if we can encourage you to do one thing, is start living a life that is missional.
That's it. Hey, we love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We'll catch you next time right here on Pastor to Pastor.
Adios.